This episode is brought to you by the members of the You Run Podcast Network. A place where everyone is a loved member of the podcasting community. To link up with these shows and find your next podcast addiction, visit YouRunPodcast.com.
You want to die tonight?
Late at night, I tune into your show, where you talk horror with a unique flow. Your voice is like sirens, draws me in, as you pick apart movies on murder and sin. Scott and Mark set the scene. I hang on every word lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's fucking long roundups. You run podcast, horror movie review, sharing facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after you fled. You run podcast. You run podcast.
I have no feeling in my fingers or penis, but I think it was worth it.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the You Run podcast. My name is Scott,
My name is Mark.
and we are the interactive horror movie review show that comes to you every single Tuesday on every single podcast platform in the world. We bring you episodes every Tuesday, as I said. They are movies that you selected on our Instagram, which is at You Run Podcast. We cover everything and we poll everything, and it's all run and controlled by you. We even go one step further and have interactive features and voicemails and all sorts of ways you can interact with the show that you're going to find out later. If this is your first time listening and you're a brand new listener, first of all, welcome. As I said, I'm Scott. He's Mark. He drinks a lot of beer. I drink a lot of beer. We say things that are a little bit wild. The way the show works is we give you our initial review and our score for the movie. After we've done that, we dive into all the things we liked and we didn't like. We don't do a traditional run through. We tend to stay in order, but we will, a little bit like Doug in Up, we will all of a sudden go, squirrel, and go on a tangent for 5 minutes before we come back. Today, our interactive features are 3-word review, and we also have a game which I have pulled from social media that we've never played before. Is going to be an absolute fucking disaster, called the Number 10 game. It involves memory, which neither me nor Mark are any good at.
We're dreadful at these kind of games. I don't know why you pick them.
See, this one I think is one that will start off okay and then it will just descend into absolute chaos.
Right.
We have an excellent episode lined up today. Get comfy, get snacks. If it's that time of the day, wherever you are, get a stiff drink because you're probably going to need it. We're going to be talking about more shit hair from Josh Hartnett and the fact that it's finally been covered up by a hat, as we look at the 2007 movie 30 Days of Night. This movie follows a really interesting premise, setting itself in a remote Alaskan town that gets 30 days of continuous nighttime. Now, it sets the perfect hunting ground for vicious vampires to descend on the town, and basically no one can get in and no one can get out, and they've got an entire 30 days to just slaughter every man, woman, and child they come across. There's an attempt in this to expand the plot with various different subplots of Alzheimer's and a recently broken relationship between Josh Hartnett's character Eben and his ex-wife Stella, who's played by Melissa George. Also, she's fabulous. Very big front teeth, but we'll talk about that later. Ultimately, for me, they're lost. Like I couldn't give a shit, because I am here for one thing that this movie does exceptionally well, and that is carnage. Danny Huston as the leader of the vampires, Marlowe, is flat out outstanding. The set design and backdrop of white snow against a lot of red blood makes for some of the best visual shots in any vampire movie. I had only seen this once, until this week, and I remembered every single beat of this movie from that first watch, which tells me that this is a great movie, considering I watched this when it came out, which dawned on me is almost 20 years ago.
No way. I
Yeah.
still consider this a modern horror movie.
100%. I would recommend this to anyone who's got a love for vampire movies, especially violent ones. Anyone who's a fan of Josh Hartnett, because undoubtedly this is his best performance, and he is oozing so much masculinity. Like, I almost got pregnant this time watching it. This gets a solid 4 out of 5 for me. And I've watched it twice this week. And one thing I want to talk about quickly before I let you do your review is I watched this with subtitles the first time round to understand what the vampires are saying. Second time round, I turned them off. This is a much better watch when you're trying to work out what the vampires are planning and saying. It's so much more interesting and scarier. But yeah, this is a 4.5 out of 5 for me.
Brilliant score. I watched it with subtitles on purely because my son had woken up, and my wife works some nights, and that's when I do my show prep and stuff. And he'd woken up, and more often than not, I can usually settle him and get him back into bed. But if he chooses not to, and he's just mama, his only thing is, I want to go downstairs and I want to be in the pram. So I put him in the pram. I turn the extractor hub on in the kitchen. Bearing in mind, our house is open plan downstairs, so our kitchen is our living room, etc. So I'm sat watching the telly, and if he's in the pram next to the kitchen area under the extractor hub, I can't have the TV blaring. I can have it on so I can hear it, but not to the point where I'm like, so there's occasional conversations where you're like, oh shit, what did he say? So sometimes I'll put subtitles on. I hate doing it. But I did watch this with subtitles, and I just assumed that it was subtitled for the vampire speaking bits anyway. So it's quite interesting to me to know that that's not actually presented to the audience in the movie unless you choose to have that option when you watch.
You get it when this went to the theaters, you got the subtitles, and on the DVD you've got the option to turn them off.
Right.
And I watched this on DVD, and I was like, I'm going to turn them off, because it comes up like almost like a separate box of, it basically says, do you want to know what the vampires are saying? And I was like, actually, no. And yeah, watching like Marlowe having like deep, intense conversations and grabbing people by the throat going, oh, that's so much scarier, because I have no fucking, like that poor bloke in the jail cell, we'll talk about it later, but when he's got him and he's talking to him, I'm like, oh, that dude's got no clue what you're saying to him. He must be so
scared. One of the key elements of the movie where his partner, the vampire's partner, gets blasted by the UV light, and he just offs her, like without the context of the conversation, saying what must once be broken can never be repaired. So he like basically ends her, as if to say like that's a whole scene that shows her weakness, and he will not tolerate weakness in his group, and he has to offer to sort of show that within the community of vampires that are following him. Without the subtitle context of that conversation, that must be really weird. If him just killing her there and then.
Without the context, without the subtitle context, all you do is go, what a prick. Like fucking no attempt to help her or nothing.
Think like she's done beyond repair, and he's sparing her. He's not sparing her from her injuries. He's just doing her in because he's like, well, you've failed and I can't show weakness within the group, even though that's the love of his life. You can see the tears in his eyes as he does it. Without the conversation context of the subtitles, that's a really weird scene.
It really is.
Anyway, we'll get into that more later on. But for me, this is one of my favorite vampire movies. Close second behind The Lost Boys for me. I think it's phenomenal, and I don't know whether it just hit me at the right time when it came out of my sort of stepping stone into horror, and this was one of the movies that really blew up for me, like 28 Days Later, where I'd seen vampire movies and I'd seen zombie movies, but I'd not seen them done at such a fast, phenomenal pace the way that these movies are presented. So for me, I really like this film, and it holds a very special place in my heart. I'm a big Josh Hartnett fan ever since Halloween H2O and The Faculty. I've followed that guy's career for a long time, and I think this is without a doubt the best performance he has given in his career. He's fantastic in this movie. I really like Billy as well. We'll get more into Billy later on as we get into the episode, but he's a big standout for me in this movie. But I think the story itself, like you say, is so unique in premise, in the isolated location, the fact that the vampires themselves then trap them all by cutting them off from the outside world. It's a really harrowing story of just survival, not just a generic vampire story, especially in the time where we were so used to sort of like, I don't know if this was before or after the Twilight pandemic, but the sort of romanticized version of what vampires used to be before Blade came onto the scene and we got movies like this. So for me, it was really refreshing to see a film like this. It would have gotten a 5 stars for me had I not had to rewatch it for the show, but there is one glaring thing that really pissed me off this time around that I can't ignore, and that is the shaky camera work during, I wouldn't say it's through all of the fight scenes. It's especially not noticeable within the final battle with the head vampire and Josh Hartnett, but the scene where they first start massacring the town, it's almost like it's a Paul Anderson Resident Evil movie, and it fucking raged me up so much on this rewatch. I was like, oh, this is not how I remember these scenes playing out. But again, that was a camera technique that was very prevalent at the time of this movie's release. It just doesn't hold up very well on a rewatch. It really gives me like that shaky head where you have to look away from the screen because it's that disorientating.
It's very wreck kind of shit's going on, and it's almost blurs the line between film and found footage. It's that level of shakiness.
It's jarring, it's uncomfortable to watch, and it really let it down for me this time around, because I vividly remember those scenes being highlights of the movie for me watching it when I was growing up. So watching it again now and seeing them play out, I was like, oh, I don't like this. This isn't cool. I can't see what's going on. All I'm seeing is just blurred confusion. And I don't know whether it was a technique used to mask some of the practical effects that were going on within those sequences, which I don't think it needed to do, because the movie's shown us that it can deliver on great effects work, both practical and CGI. So for me, it's going to lose half a mark for that. So it's still going to get a 4.5 out of 5. It's a very, very solid movie. That was just one of the minor gripes I had on one of my latest rewatches.
Which is incredible. We've both scored it the same. Well, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back and give this the full You Run podcast treatment.
Tracking lines and fuzzy screens, the wildest sights you've ever seen. From car boot sales to rare finds too. Garrett brings the past to you. Video Tasty's the place to be. For cult films and retro TV. Dust off the tape, hit play today. The West Wales shop, here's a click away. Saturdays are for the spooky vibes. With Chrissy D and Nino by your side. From cryptid legends to the ghosts of old, there's a brand new mystery to unfold. Paranormal misfits, the show you need, where the strange and the creepy take the lead. The besties are waiting for every ghoul. Join the misfits and break the rules.
So make sure you go and check out yourunpodcast.com. That is our website. On there, you'll find links to all of the members of the You Run Podcast Network. And we've got everything from high-end film reviews where they give you lots of production facts and deep dives, through to true crime that's really well researched, through to chaos shows like our own, and other shows that cover TV, film, cryptids, like you name it, it's on there. So go and check out yourunpodcast.com for those. While you're there, also click on the links to our socials. We are on every single social media platform known to man, apart from Snapchat, because I'm not 12. Instagram is where you get to have the control over what episodes appear here. You get to pick the movies there. We've got TikTok, where I post deep dives into film and behind the scenes stuff. We've got Facebook, and we've got literally everything. And Slasher, big shout out to the Slasher community who are coming in strong with interaction at the moment. Welcome to all of the new listeners from Slasher, because there are so many new listeners from that platform that have started interacting in the last 4 weeks. That has blown my mind.
Slasher still going strong, is it?
Slasher was somewhere that I used to go and post stuff and no one would comment, no one would like it. It just become habit. And all of a sudden in the last, I don't know, probably 2 or 3 weeks, people are talking. I'm like, oh shit, Hi, yeah, cool.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
well,
I didn't know it was one of those things that just died a death, you know, to be honest with you. I don't hear many people talking about it. I remember when it first came to be, I jumped on it for a little while and then realized I didn't need the headache of it. But I just thought it was one of those that I just slowly faded off into the distance.
No, it's still going strong, and for this show, doing us a power of good. So thank you to everyone on Slasher and all the other social media platforms as well. Also, make sure you click on our Patreon link. So Patreon will give you early access to this show. You get it almost a week early. You get it completely ad-free, so you don't hear any of this. You also get exclusive episodes and a brand new show. Well, not a brand new show, we've been doing it a while, but a separate show to this where me and Mark kind of go off the rails and do whatever the Patreon members ask us to do. We've covered Lord of the Rings, we've done action movies, we've done Star Wars, we've done pretty much everything, even an episode on Patrick Wilson. But we've covered the full broad spectrum of absolutely everything. And our episode this month is on Australian horror movies. So all of those are available on our website. Also, there is another ad I want to play. I haven't played it for the last 2 weeks because I was repping it on social media, but it's this one.
SWF Kapow is bringing you a night of wrestling you will never forget. Sunday, the 12th of July, Oasis Academy, Southampton. Thrilling entrances, jaw-dropping moves, and raw intensity. Plus former WWE superstar Scotty 2 Hotty. To book tickets, go to kapowwrestling.co.uk.
So make sure you go and check out kapowwrestling.co.uk, get your tickets for that event, get the chance to not only be at the event and see Scotty 2 Hotty, but also get backstage passes to meet Scotty 2 Hotty because they've now gone on sale. Also, I will be there so you can meet the other Scotty, probably not as Hotty. There's also a collaboration coming up with Kapow Wrestling that you are not going to want to miss. So that's another reason to subscribe to our Patreon. And I will also be meeting Scotty 2 Hotty at that event and sharing the footage of that on our Patreon as well. So that's also going to be really cool. That's pretty much it. Recommend us to a friend, give us 5-star reviews, do all the cool shit. Let's talk about this vampire movie.
You're a vampire, you become very sexy.
I want to start off with a fact. So the reality, this town of Barrow really exists.
Mm-hmm.
They don't get 30 days of night. They get 67 days of night.
Wow.
67.
To be fair, I'm a night owl. I would kind of like that.
See, I thought that's quite cool. But then in the summer, they get 67 days of sunshine.
Oh, shit. So there is no middle ground.
They get both. They get normal days and nights, but at each end of the year, they get polar extremes. So 67 days of pure darkness and then 67 days of like blistering sunshine.
And it's a very habitable town. It has a population of a lot of people and stuff.
Yeah, it's a habitable town. It's exactly what they show in this. However, this was not filmed in Barrow. It was actually filmed in New Zealand, which blew my fucking mind.
That's cool. Yeah, no, I like the concept of living somewhere isolated like this. That's one thing that I enjoyed about this movie. I was like, do you know what? I could just pack up and just go live in a hobbit hole underground. Like, it would suit me down to a T, I think.
I could as well, especially if there was a fire chief that looked like Stella.
Oh, Stella.
Oh, so she was a fire chief, was she?
She was the fire chief / fire marshal, but she covers multiple areas because it starts off with her being there to visit a station and then she's desperately trying to get out. I like this opening. I like the stranger. I like Eben. We've spoken about it loads of times. I am not a big Josh Hartnett fan. I have issues with his hair. Issues with his hair in every movie. He put a hat on.
But you have similar hair to Josh Hartnett, to be honest. You have a similar look of hair.
I'm gonna brush over that and ignore that you've said it. Let us know in the comments. Is my hair like Josh Hartnett's? Because if it is, I'm gonna shave it bald. Do you know who I really like in this? Who's probably one of my favorite characters? Is his grandmother.
Yeah, the weed smoking grandmother. She's a legend.
The pot smoking nana. Like when he comes back to the station, he's opening drawers. He's like, "Why the fuck is there weed in here?" And his little brother's like, "Yeah, it's Nana's." And she's like, "I've got cancer. You're gonna arrest me?" And he's like, No, it just closes the door. I'm like, fucking brilliant.
I have to feel like that role was written for Betty White.
Betty White would have absolutely killed it, but the woman who had it done a really good job.
Oh
with it
yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
she was great too. But I just envisioned Betty White in that role every time she was on screen.
His partner, his like police partner,
Billy.
Billy. Anyone who's watched Spartacus, Blood and Sand, this is Crixus, who spends most of that series stark bollock naked. So watching him in this, I'm like, I've seen your dick. This is really weird for me.
Yeah, I remember him from Spartacus, but for me, he stands out as Deathstroke from the Arrowverse. He was Deathstroke in that, and he was brilliant in it. He's a really good actor, and the one of the most surprising elements for me on this rewatch is I remember him being a bigger part. It's like that butterfly effect thing or the Mandela effect thing that Heather goes on about. I always thought he was like he just came in at the end and was the hero and helped save the day and sacrificed himself, which was what happened to him, what did happen to him. And then when the storyline does fall out the way it does, I was like, this is not how I remember your character. Like, you are a fucking letdown, my friend.
He's not a bad man, but he's
a very bad man. He's a wimp of a man. He's a weak man. That's what the problem is.
That's what I was going to say. He's not necessarily a bad man. He's just a weak man. Like his decisions later on in the movie, I'm looking at him.
At the beginning of the movie, to be honest with you, but then just cowering away after what he'd done. I was like, oh shit, I forgot you did that.
Yeah, I forgot you were a massive pussy. What are you doing?
We'll talk more about him later because he shocked me to my core this time around.
Yeah, the opening of this I think is really clever, where they just set up the town and they show you kind of just day-to-day life for Eben, and they show that it's the 30 days and nights are coming and the town empties out, and they go and change the sign from like population of 500 and something down to 100 and something, and they really set the scene of how remote this is and how few people are there. And then you start getting the calls of problems that Eben has to go and sort out, just day-to-day cop shit. And this is where he finds out his ex is back in town, Stella, and he has an awkward phone call with her. And then she's like, well, I'm going, maybe we can talk another time. And then she fucking gets hit, but she's leaving the town and she gets taken out by what the fuck was that machine?
I don't know, because the dude has it later on, and it's fucking awesome when it comes into play.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I assume it's like for cutting through snow, but I can't imagine you would need something like that to cut through snow.
No, it's like the best way it's like a snowplow with a 40-foot chainsaw on the front of it.
Yeah, it's like if Leatherface had a fucking mechanic factory and decided to weaponize a truck. It's basically that.
Exactly that. And like it knocks her car, and like the bloke gets out and goes, I'm so sorry. I didn't expect anyone to be here. We are in Barrow, Alaska, population 7. I thought I'd be okay to jump the light. And then she rings Eben to get a lift, and he's like, he does the biggest power play ever. He's like, yeah, hold on a second. He's like, Billy, go get my ex because I'm fucking not doing it. And Billy goes to get her. I really liked that because he was desperate to talk to her, but he done the man thing that we all done and went, no, fucking let you win. Fuck you. Just because you need me now. You can have Billy. That's what you get.
Yeah, more important matters to attend to. And I like the way that Billy deliberately delays everything to the fact that she misses her flight and has to end up staying. So, because he obviously wants her and Eben to sort their shit out. So he basically sabotages the trip to the airport in order for her to have to stay for the 30 days.
Yeah, which works perfectly. And while this is happening, Eben's been called to the
dog massacre.
Yeah, the families that keep the sled dogs, and all of the sled dogs are dead.
Yeah, like decapitated,
just red splodges everywhere, and I'm like, oh, this is.
So are we under the assumption that the stranger has done this?
See, I think the stranger has, which is why
I think that's a big ask for him to take out these savage sled pulling fucking animals. You know what I mean?
They are all in boxes.
I don't know. They were just all in a big cage together. I have to feel it was one of the vampires that executed this order, because I mean, the setup of this is all a bit like questionable, isn't it? And what the stranger actually does to cut off communications. Because to me, I don't think he does a great deal. because every time we see one of like the power stations go down or the communication centers go down or the helicopter that gets sabotaged, it's very clearly the vampires that have done it.
Yeah.
So the reasoning on the stranger always baffles me. And the
He's
fact that I know he acts as a familiar, but he just gets wasted anyway.
he's effectively, it's almost like they've sent him in as the harbinger of doom. He's basically Crazy Ralph of 30 Days a Night. He basically comes in and goes,
Yeah.
doom upon you all.
And he's a fantastic actor. I forget his name every single time, but I love him. Every time I see him on screen, whatever it does, he always plays really out there characters similar to what he's done here.
Yeah.
And he just delivers every single time. And 30 Days of Night is no different. He is fantastic in this movie.
That scene in the diner is so good, where
Yeah.
he's sat at the diner. He's like, "I'll have a burger." She's like, "How do you want it cooked?" He's like, "Raw." She's like, "No. You get things two ways here. It's either burnt or it's fucking really burnt. Like that's how it's served to you." And he's like, "I want it raw." And it gets a bit raucous, and Eben gets called and comes in. And Eben's like, "Look, man, we're just going to go outside and have a chat and it'll be fine. Like, come with me." And he goes to get all shitty with Eben. You just hear click.
Yeah.
And it's Stella behind him with a gun in the back of his head. And Eben's like, "We're just going to leave nicely now." And he sort of has a bit of a tussle and they like wrestle him down and drag him out. I'm like, that's brilliant. Like, that's so cool.
And it sets up the teamwork dynamic between the two of them of how well they work together, which again, I think that's one thing that this movie does particularly well is groundwork. So the guy that you meet earlier on where he gives him the ticket, I don't know what you would give him a ticket for. I don't know what the terminology is in terms of America for this kind of thing, but he gives him the ticket. And then he has a conversation with his partner in the car. And Billy's like, "Why did you do that? There was no need for you to give him the ticket. We're out here in the middle of nowhere." And he's like, "This guy lives out here on the edge of town on his own. Things like this make him know that he's part of the community." So later on, when he comes back into play, you're like, he does know he's part of the community. He does know he serves a purpose. And Eben was right to give him that ticket early on. And it's just subtle things like that sprinkled in throughout this movie that is just this movie is just incredibly well written. That's all I can say about it.
It's really well written, and the groundwork I think is done so well, not just with the main characters. Like, we get the bit with the stranger where he's in the prison cell and he's taunting the younger brother and the grandmother and saying, "They're coming, you're all gonna die." Like, all of that's fantastic. But even down to the sub characters. So we cut away to the maintenance plant or the pipeline plant or whatever it is, and
It's like the mulcher, isn't it?
You've got the two guys and the girl. I want to clarify. I want to clarify here. They were going for a threesome and they were rock, paper, scissoring to see whose house they went to. Am I correct in my assumption?
I didn't pick up on that, but it's one thing I'm going to look out for on the next watch for sure.
He says, "Oh, you're coming home with me tonight," and the other bloke's, "No, you're coming home with me." And she's like, "Let's not be greedy, boys. We can just pick one house." And then they fucking rock, paper, scissors to see who house they go to. Like,
I want to be invited to that party.
it was just that I watched it and went, "Hey, did that?" And I looked at Lisa. She's like, "Well, they going for threesome." I was like, "Fucking sounds like it." Like,
hey, it's the small communities, man. It's the small communities that are out there with that shit. Honestly, I've seen enough Louis Theroux documentaries to know what goes down in places like this.
Yeah, there's the twang of the banjo in the background. You get this is where the power goes out. You get the full power cut. Town goes completely dark, complete blackout. And it's at this time that these two guys at this power plant get absolutely fucking shredded.
Yeah.
Completely. And that poor girl sort of does the first guy gets taken and the second guy goes to get investigated, and like his body gets like thrown out almost in bits as she sort of goes, "Well, fuck this, I'm out of here." And I was expecting this sort of chase scene and they cut her down, but they don't. They just let her go because they're here for a month. It's like they're on holiday. They're like, "Yeah, we'll get that one tomorrow. We don't need that one today." And I think that's a really cool, like the way they are. Nothing is hurried.
No, No,
They're not in a rush.
Well, we know that. We know that. You know, there's all the time that passes throughout this movie. It's not something that just takes place over the space of a night. Hence the movie's title, 30 Days of Night. It does actually happen over a 30-day period. And I think the only thing that really signifies that, other than the occasional title card, I think the only one I saw pop up was day 18. I'll be honest with you. The time period of passing was only notified by Josh Hartnett's beard growth throughout the film.
Yeah, he can grow quite an impressive beard, better than yours, to be fair to him.
But it looks similar to yours, as I say, haircut, beard.
Do you know, if you're saying I look like Josh Hartnett, I'm going to take that all day long.
I would. That's a flattering thing for somebody to say.
Yeah, I am fully on board for looking like Josh Hartnett. I need better hair, but beyond that, I'm happy. The overhead shot of their massacre, they cut down so much of the town, and this almost like drone shot that flies over the town and all of this white snow with just these patches of blood and cars on fire and people crawling away and like, this whole segment is stunning. Absolutely stunning.
And the thing is as well, this happens very early on in the movie, and I think the thing that really signifies the importance of it is it wipes out a big part of the community. You're left with like a handful of 15-20 people that you follow throughout the rest of this hour and 45-minute movie. This happens in the first 15-20 minutes.
Yeah,
like, holy shit, where is this gonna go from this point? You know, this is the sort of culmination of the final act, but you're seeing this very early on in the first act. It's jarring to the audience to be like, what is going on here? And again, I think that's really just down to the credit of the writing department. Of the way that this movie set out and paced is like any other really that I've seen that handles subject matters like this. You know, like usually when you get your vampires, your monster movies, your creature features, it's a subtle, slow build. You see a character go here and there, and then it's always like, then you get to like the last 15-20 minutes where things really ramp up to this stage. But this cuts straight to the throat very early on, and I think it's an incredible feat to achieve and stick the landing and then maintain engagement for the rest of the movie. That was what was one of my biggest hurdles, was like, how are you then going to maintain the momentum and the engagement from this point on? Because for me, you've just hit your final act within the first 20 minutes.
Yeah, and it's that leap from this massive massacre to keeping that momentum that is, I think, one of the most impressive things this movie does. Keeping everything moving. And the way they do that is by showing us more of the vampires. Like, they're not shy in showing the monster in this.
I did have a bit of a gripe with the monsters this time around. I didn't like the almost stretched faced sort of like the bloated. I never took issue with it before. It's never been a thing for me. And especially considering the head vampire looks normal. That was one of the things that stood out to me. It was like, and I've watched the sequel to this. In fact, I lie. I watched the first 10 minutes of this sequel and shut it off immediately because I will talk more about that later on. Because I remember messaging you in the week and saying, "Oh, have you seen the sequel yet?" He's like, "No," and I was like, "Well, I've heard really good things, so I'm going to check it out if I've got time this week." I watched this. I put it on straight after. Dude. Don't waste your fucking time.
See, I had it down to I'll try it, and then I was watching something else like, fuck it, it's not important, we're not covering it this week. And I genuinely was like, I'll watch it over the weekend. And now you've said that, you tell me about it later, but now you've said that, I'm like,
I'm saving my talk about the sequel till we get to the final scene, because that's when it's going to become relevant. But that's 2 weeks in a row now I've tried to watch the sequel after the movie, and it has failed miserably. It's bad, is this one. It's really, really bad. But we'll talk about it later on. But back to what we were originally discussing, and it's the look of the zombies. And I think the reason why I found issue with it in 2025 is because we live in a post Truth or Dare movie world. And I couldn't separate the fact that they look like, do you know, in the movie Truth or Dare, that one that's flown massively under the radar for a lot of people, which is a shame because it's actually quite a good movie. They have that contorted, bloated smile and cheek face that the vampires have in this movie, and I couldn't see past it, man. I kept looking at him like, oh fuck, all I can see is through for there.
The language they speak, believe it or not, was actually made specifically for the film by a linguist professor from New Zealand University. It's a combination of native New Zealand, like original language,
Like
and a
Aborigine.
couple of and a couple of other languages that he threw together and created a whole new language, wrote scripts in the new language and gave it to people and then helped them pronounce it. I'm like, that is going overboard for the
For a
production.
vampire movie, 100%. Yeah, it's not like we're deep diving into Tolkien's work, you know.
It's not like it's like Star Trek. That's a massive long series. They created Klingon. It's its own language. I get it. It's a ginormous franchise that has God knows how many episodes and films. This was a one-off film, and they brought in a university professor to go, excuse me, could you create me a completely new language for the 13 lines of vampire dialect we have, please?
I think that's such a unique thing to have to try and do. Is like, how can you possibly create a language? You know, like I struggle to string together sentences in English, let alone then having to create words and sounds without just coming out with a load of clicks and pops. You know,
it is bizarre. The attic refuge. So the movie takes a big shift here. It goes from this massive massacre, and it kind of has a settling period where Eben and the remaining survivors, including a young lad, well, I say young lad, a man and his very old dementia-ridden father that we'll talk about in just a minute, and they go and hide in an attic. And it had that almost like zombie movie style. They're held up in a place watching out the window as like friends and neighbors are shouting for help and being massacred, and they won't go and help them because they know it will put them at risk.
Yeah, it's very Diary of Anne Frank, isn't it, at this point?
Yeah, it's really dark as well. Like the guy in there, like, we need to get out, and Eben's on the brink of like, I will fucking kill you. If I have to, I will kill you to keep everybody safe. And like everyone's like, whoa, everyone calm down, let's take a minute. And this is where you get like the guy who Eben gave a ticket to earlier, Mr. Wildman Hair. And he's like,
the dude who gets it right in Fast and Furious 2. We like talking about Fast and Furious 2 on this show whenever he pops up in a movie.
Yeah, and he's great. He's absolutely perfect in this. He's like an older, more grumpy version of Jack Black, and it works for me.
Yeah, he's cool.
How do you feel about the dementia subplot? Because I was a bit like, oh, this is. I felt it didn't feel silly. It worked with the movie where you've got the old man with dementia and he can't remember where he is, and he gets up and then he tries to get out and they contain him. He's like, oh, can I go to the toilet, please? And they're like, well, of course you can, old man. That's very nice. He locks the bathroom, climbs out.
Yeah.
And like, I just found it was almost like a filler.
The fact that I have nothing to say about it shows that to me it weren't an issue. You know, I can understand what you're saying. I think with anything in these group settings, there has to be a problematic situation. There has to be a branch that's about to snap. And I think this is the direction they chose to go with, because they have to have those moments within this setting. You know, you get them in many movies, like Night of the Living Dead, for instance. You've got the hothead dad who's trying to save his daughter, who ends up causing problems. Even in Dawn of the Dead remake, you know, you've got Tyrese with his pregnant wife and his baby. In this sort of apocalyptic sort of situation in horror movies, you have to have that one character that's going to cause the deck of cards to come tumbling down for the group, whether that be due to innocence or not. And I think I'm so used to that stereotype in these kind of movies that I didn't really pay it much attention. It never stood out to me as a problem, but I can understand why you would have taken issue with it. I think in hindsight now, looking back on the character, given the unpredictable nature of his behavior, I find it very hard to believe that he would have even made it to the attic in the first place.
Yeah,
and that would be my main gripe with it. But it never at one point caused any ruse for me while watching.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It didn't take me out of the movie. It wasn't a moment where I went, oh, fuck this. This is ridiculous. But it was a moment where I went, you needed to fill 10 minutes, didn't you? So this is what you put in. It kind of had that almost like half finished. It was like we'll just throw this in to it's a vehicle to take us from A to B. We'll just sling it in, it'll be fine.
Yeah, but you have to have that moment of being able to get out of the situation they're in. Then they need to get them from the attic. You know, it would make perfectly sense for them all to hunker down and just stay there for 30 days. Obviously,
Yeah.
by the time we get to the end, they know that wouldn't have been a plausible issue anyway because they burned the town to the ground. But the point is like they need to get them out of the attic, and he's a character direction in order for them to do that. Like in Dawn of the Dead remake, which I just mentioned, the way they do it in that movie to get them out of the mall is by having the guy in the gun shop across the road. They send the dog in to send him food. The dog gets trapped. The girl leaves, and then they all go after the girl. That's how they get them out of the mall in that movie. It happens time and time again, and you have to have that character in this movie in order for it to work. It didn't bother me in the slightest, and I never really looked upon it as an issue up until you've just mentioned it now. I'd be curious to know if anybody else came across it in that way as well, because for me, it was just neither here nor there.
Yeah. Let us know. This is why we have voicemails. You can send us a voicemail. You can also comment on this episode on Spotify or on YouTube. The vampires are so clever. Using characters as bait is something
Brilliant.
I have never seen before this. I've seen it since, but never before. Where you've
Not
got
in this context, no.
some poor woman walking down the street, freezing fucking cold. Like she's literally there like this.
You mean winters in igloos and Eskimos and penguins and ice?
Like she's freezing her ass off, walking down the road going, hello, help me, please, somebody, anybody. And that they're watching through the window going, oh, we should go and help her. We should go and help her. And then all of a sudden, one of them goes, no, look on the roofs. And on the roofs of the buildings, you've got all the vampires like just lurking in the shadows, waiting for someone to come and help her so they can eat them. And I'm like,
yeah,
that is cool as shit. What a great way to hunt.
Yeah, very, very much so. And it very much highlights how incredibly well versed they are in doing so. You know, I know we get the speech later on before they do the whole burning them to the ground thing, from the head vampire explaining how they've been doing this for thousands of years, and one of the greatest achievements they've done is convincing that the human population that they are fantasy and fairy tale. And again, without fucking subtitles, I would never have got this. So I think it's wild to me that this movie is an option to even have no subtitles for the vampire speaking parts. But he goes on a big spiel explaining and how for thousands and thousands of years, one of the greatest achievements of their culture is the fact that they've managed to convince humans that we are nothing more than a fairy tale. And it just shows how well versed they are at doing this by doing simple things such as that. It's as simple as it is just throwing a simple survivor out into the darkness, knowing that we as a humanity would do anything in our power to try and save that person, which would then draw us out of our own hidings for them to then execute. It's like, this is tried and tested. We've been doing this shit for years. You know, we know what we're doing. If there's any of you left, your humanity will make you want to save this person.
Yeah.
And when you do, we will fuck you up.
And they really are brutal. Like when they get the old man in the street, like they absolutely tear him limb from limb. And I'm like, oh, because like their thing in this is they're not here to turn anyone. They don't want to increase their numbers. They're here just for slaughter. It's just for food. It's just for sport. Like it's almost like a predator hunt. We're not here to get new recruits. We're just here to fucking kill everyone. And they don't pull their punches. Like they proper kill children and everything. I'm like, oh man.
But one thing I really love about this as well is the fact that they're not necessarily the transmission of the vampire virus transmits the same way a zombie virus does, or the same way a werewolf transformation thing happens. It's a bite or a scratch or a blood contact thing, and that's it. You're one of them. And they established that very early on by saying, leave no one alive, decapitate the head. And that's the only way to kill them, is to decapitate the head. So basically anybody who survives an attack from one of these things eventually will turn into a vampire. And the scene where you've got Eben and he goes to the guy whose dogs got killed and his wife got took under the bunker.
Yeah.
He got his leg mangled and things like that. He didn't actually die in that instance. And we see him come later on with the vampire teeth. And you're like, oh, holy shit. And then again later on, when you're in the like the Walmart gas station thing and the other guy gets attacked by the young girl, eventually he turns. It's, again, very tropey, he got bitten or he got scratched and no one saw it happen, and then we see him turn and rah rah rah. But yeah, I like the transmission thing. It's not a case of like with usual vampire lore, you can get bitten, you can get drained, and it not matter. You have to sort of have like a selection process with vampire lore. Like it's a certain type of way of biting and then transmitting. So you could be bitten by a vampire, but then you would also have to drink the blood of a vampire, including the bite of the vampire, to then become a vampire yourself. Or you can just be bitten by a vampire and just die of blood loss. You know, there's various ways in which the terminology of how vampires work, but in here it's like, no, this is just straight up blood transmission virus. If you get caught, attacked, scratched, bitten, you're fucked, basically.
Yeah, you're done. The moving in this, I think, is really clever as well. They don't just run out into the streets because they know the vampire's there. They wait for this whiteout to come and then moving through the snow while the vampires are cozied up indoors somewhere eating whoever they've managed to capture. Again, really clever, gets them to the store. The store fight with the woman Iris, where Eben decapitates her using the paper cutter. Amazing.
Yeah, not nice.
You're dead. There's also a bit. When does he take out the fucking person with the snow shovel?
The snow shovel.
Yeah, he kills someone with a shovel. He kills the woman with a shovel, or smash her face with a shovel.
I don't know. I can't remember. He fucking unleashes some glorious kills within this movie.
He really, really does, like all the time.
Yeah, like he's the one. Like he's the Rick Grimes of 30 Days of Night. He's always the one who has to step up. And I think that's another good thing as well, is like everybody he's trying to protect are very weak in stature. It's either women or children or men who are not willing to step up to the plate. In that sense, they're all, apart from the hillbilly Jack Black.
Apart from the hillbilly Jack Black, who has his moment when they get in this like gas station-y type of place and they need to move again because they're not safe there. They're in a fucking glassed shop front window with the lights on. I'm like, well, as soon as they got there, I was like, you're fucking idiots. You went from an attic where no one can see you into a fully illuminated shop front with a fucking neon sign that said open, you dickhead.
I don't know whether they did that because they were running out of food or not. I can't really remember the context, to be honest with you, but I do like how the fact that it is actually Eben who goes out. He's the one who's like, look, I'll go, I'll take the bait, and he's tapping on all the fucking doors and making noise so they all come after him to the point where he gets trapped. And that's when he steps, because he volunteered first. He's like, I'll do it, you know?
Yeah.
And then was like, no, I'm fastest. I'll do it. I'll go. And then he can see that Eben's trapped. And he's like, this is my moment. And he goes full Woody Harrelson from Zombieland and just fucking rocks up in this chainsaw tractor, just mowing them down with dynamite and all sorts. It's brilliant.
Do you ever have a moment in a film where you get an intrusive thought that pops in your head and then it comes out of your mouth? So this happened to me in this moment. As he's going down and you've got vampires like splatting up his windshield and he's slinging dynamite out the back window and killing everyone, all that went through my head was The Simpsons. It's Mr. Plow. That's my name. Its name again is Mr. Plow. And I said it out loud, and then me and Lisa just looked at each other, burst out laughing, and then I had to rewind it because we missed like 5 minutes of the movie, just laughing at how stupid I am. But yeah,
does anybody still watch The Simpsons?
I haven't watched any of the new stuff. I think they're still a massive, massive show.
I don't think I've watched anything since like Treehouse of Horrors 4, to be honest with you.
No, I've watched probably up to 2020, 2022, maybe.
Oh, no. I'm like old school, very, very old school, like where they first get Santa's Little Helper. Like the first 2 seasons kind of Simpsons fan where Bart gets a tattoo and shit. I haven't seen anything post the Simpsons movie, and even then I don't think I'd watched it years before the movie came out either.
Yeah, Simpsons is still good. In all of this chaos, they get split up. So you get Stella goes off with a little girl, and like the rest of the group are kind of all separated. And this is where Eben goes to Billy, and we find out how much of a weak, pathetic man Billy is, because he goes in and Billy sat on the floor crying his eyes out. He's like, what's the matter? And he looks around on the bed, and Billy's wife and 2 children are there. And Billy's like, I killed them because I didn't
I
want them
heard
to
the
suffer.
screaming.
Yeah, like I heard the screaming outside, so I instantly turned and killed my wife and children. I was gonna kill myself, but then the gun jammed.
Yeah,
And I was like,
pussy.
mate, you should have just walked outside because that's what you deserved. You
Yeah.
fucking scumbag.
Even that though, it's just a weak man. Do you know what I mean? The fact that the gun jammed, so he didn't do it, yet he's been hiding in this house for what we think is now 18, 19 days, and not once has he pulled out a rope or a kitchen knife or took a toaster to the bath, you know. Like there's other ways to go, my friend, if that's the path you were choosing. Yeah, it's wild to me. And again, like the shock factor of this scene for me on a rewatch, because I always remember him being a hero character in this movie, and he's not.
Yeah, he's really, really not. All of this leads to kind of this almost final showdown. So you get Marlowe and the other vampires. Like Marlowe gives the order, like burn the town, like fucking. It's a scorch the evidence. There's been a big electrical fire, and then we'll leave. Everyone will come back and they'll restock the town, and we'll come back next year or whenever we come back and do this shit again. They kind of all end up in, what is it they end up in? It's like a power plant style place.
Yeah. This is where Billy gets fucked up royally.
Yeah, this is where Billy goes, I'm going to inject myself with vampire blood because I know it's going to
No, that's Eben. Eben injects himself with vampire blood.
Oh, yeah, Billy.
One thing I will say about the way that we've covered this movie, we already have mentioned how exceptional the writing is in this film. And we've jumped around from A to B and sort of glossed over on how we've got from A to B. The justification on how each event unfolds is incredibly well calculated. It's always well executed, whether that be through certain situations or another that we've remembered or not remembered on the way that we spoke about it on this episode. There's certain things that we may have glossed over that are vital to the plot. Billy's death being one of them, and how he lured one of the vampires back to the power plant. The fact that Billy's there and he is dead and had been bitten by the vampire he lured in there, which was what then enabled Eben to get the vampire blood in order to make himself what he does, which we're going to speak about.
Because this is when
highlight that I just wanted to highlight the fact that this is a fantastic movie, and if you think we're not doing it justice, that's not because we're bad reviewers. It's just the fact that there is so many calculated elements of this movie that work so flawlessly that it's very difficult for us to narrate the plot points through perfectly without this being a 5-hour-long episode.
I'm going to say this now: like, we are a review show to talk about the movie and the bits we liked and the bits we didn't like. The idea of this is, if you've seen the movie, you know what we're talking about. If you haven't seen the movie and you're listening, I think that's a little bit weird. But the idea of this, if it's a good review, the idea is you then go and watch the movie. So we don't tell you everything, because then you get to see it.
No, but I know there's people who come out at us and be like, oh, well, actually, you missed out this part and you missed that part and you didn't touch on this part that got them to that part. And I'm like, I'm just clarifying for those knobheads who we do get very regularly. There's a reason why on this episode it would be very difficult for us to do that.
Yeah, every single week I get at least 10 messages like that, and every single time I reply exactly the same. If you seen the movie, they're like, yeah, well, you know what happened then. Like, what's your problem? I will talk about Billy. I will talk about Eben killing Billy.
Yeah, that was cool as shit.
Jesus Christ. Like, if that was you and me, like, I would take you out because I had to, or vice versa. I'd expect you to do the same. I don't think I would do it with the same level of brutality that he does it.
The thing is, as well, like, you see how angry and upset Eben is with Billy for what he's done to his wife and kids. He's like, that's your family, you know, you protect them, you never hurt them, You can see how fucking distraught Eben is. Him and Billy are partners, so his wife and his children are a big part of Eben's family. To see that he's done this is heartbreaking for Eben just as much as it is for Billy, and you can see the disdain on him when he confronts Billy about it. And I think the way that he massacres Billy in this scene, because I'll be honest with you, I'm not 100. No, he must have known he was bitten. He must have known he was bitten because of what happens afterwards. But in the moment, I was like, you're just putting him out of his misery because his hand's gone in a blender. You could quite easily fix that. But no, he must have known he was bitten, therefore he executed him. But yeah, he didn't do it swiftly. Instead of going for the neck, he went through the shoulder, and you see him do like this whole the thing kind of sort of, and it looks incredible as well. There's a mixture of practical and CGI used in this scene, but I think the balance is right, considering, like you said earlier, this is a 20-year-old movie. I really thought this still looked great.
Yeah, I think it looks great as well. And yeah, did you know, like Eben? So the comics of this. Did you know this was a comic, by the way? Because I didn't until this week.
I did know. I've never read the comics, but I do know this is based on a graphic novel.
Yeah, it is. So in the comics, the hero's name is Eben Olferman, which was changed to Eben Olsen for the movie. And the reason they changed it is because the sheriff of Barlow in real life is Eben Olsen.
Wow.
that was my reaction as well. So there's a sheriff in Barrow.
The fact that there is 3 people, the comics, the movie, and a real life person called Eben is mind blowing to me, let alone the fact anything else. Eben is such a, I'm sorry if there's any Ebens listening, but you've got a strange name.
Yeah, the thing is, like, you imagine being that sheriff, you'd be like to bad behaved teenagers, like, have you seen my film? Have you seen my life story film?
Yeah.
You need to go,
oh, you would fully claim it.
yeah, you need to go and watch the shit I've been through. I've been cured since that. When you watch it, you will understand. You'd scare the fuck out of all the naughty kids in that town.
Yeah.
Even taking the vampire blood and going out to face Marlowe, I think is fabulous. And I love this fight that they have. The only issue I have with it is Marlowe is an established couple of 1,000-year-old vampire, and for some reason Eben overpowers him and punches his fist clean through his fucking head. And I'm like, oh, it's cool, but you're a young vampire. How did you do that?
Right, so this is where I have to disagree with you on this, and this is one thing that I found that they did really well in the final act. I know a lot of people don't like this ending, and they don't like the way that it plays out, but for me, Eben gets his fucking ass handed to him. Like, fully gets his ass handed to him. And I don't think the winning of the fight comes down to any sort of skill set other than the fact that he just blindly punched a man that flew at him, unrealizing the strength that he possessed in doing so. Do you know? Wow. And I don't think the head vampire expected in that moment for him to throw a fist and was just planning on wiping him out. And he just blindly punched towards a direction and knocked his brains out the back of his skull. And I think that shows quite well in the movie as well. I do think that he takes such an ass whooping from someone who is, like you say, so skilled and so calculated and been doing this for a lot of years. He knocks Eben all over the place, barring a couple of sort of bar fight brawl punches that Eben gets in. I think this is done quite well. Like, it's not like a Blade level fight scene at the end of Blade. You know what I mean? Like, it's very much a bar brawl that Eben just so happens to get the upper hand in. This could have gone one of two ways very easily.
Yeah, I kind of, I get what you're saying. Looking at it now with those eyes, lucky puncher's chance. He just threw his arm and just got lucky. And it just so happens that he's got vampire strength and went straight through his head.
That's the way I perceive it. If I didn't perceive it in any other way, I would 100% be on your team on this and be like, yeah, there is no way. But because of the way that it played out in that scene, it very much looked to me like the vampire flew at him and he was just like, I'm going to punch at you, unrealizing the strength that he possesses because of his new vampire strength, and just his hand went straight through his head.
Your way makes the ending of this better for me, so I'm going to take your way. You get the bit now where literally the rest of the pack, now the leader's gone, just fucking scatter. They're like, we can't do this. Fuck
this shit, I'm out.
Wind. And we get Eben dies in Stella's arms. It's very sad as the sun rises. It incinerates him, and we get the end credits.
Very brutally as well. This was unsufferable, I'll be honest. I teared up a little bit because it was hard to watch, man. Like, it wasn't just like an instant incineration like in Blade where they get spiked and they just turn to ash. Like, you feel it for him, man. Everything he's endured in this movie, and he goes out in such a horrifically painful way.
Yeah, it's a real rough way to go out. One thing I did notice, and I took some notes, it's Salem's Lot. 30 Days of Night is Salem's Lot. Both stories center around small towns with a few citizens who are killed by vampires, with a small and only a small group fight back. The vampire in Salem's Lot is Barlow. 30 Days of Night is Marlowe. A stranger, a human servant to Marlowe, basically prepares the town for the arrival. And exactly the same happens in Salem's Lot with Straker. The town burns at the end. Exactly the same. One half of a romantic couple is turned into a vampire. Susan gets turned in Salem's Lot and even in 30 Days a Night. And both head vampires are killed, and the other remaining vampires stay alive and escape. And they both scatter for the same reason that the head vampire's been killed.
Yeah, I mean, vampire tropes are vampire tropes, man. I mean, there's a lot you could probably refer to with Nosferatu with this as well, I suppose, in that sense, you know?
Yeah.
I find vampire movies are one of those genres that they stay in their lane more often than not, you know?
Yeah,
They
they
waver slightly from the A to B plot line, but they always end up at B, you know?
yeah.
And I think again, this movie is a prime example of that, but it just does it in such a magnificent way, in my opinion. So what I wanted to save my conversation regarding the sequel to with the closing scene of this movie is it opens, right? So the sequel, just to save you the fucking hour and a half slogfest that movie is, the sequel opens with this ending scene, but they've recast Stella with like this shitty little C-list actress and CGI'd her face on to the ending of this movie.
Oh no.
Yeah. And it doesn't even take place in Barrow. So she's now gone to LA and she's in LA and she's like giving conferences and stuff to signify that vampires are real. And she has this one conference. This was actually quite cool. She has this one conference where she's like, oh yeah, I've been doing this for a while now, trying to justify the existence of vampires and trying to tell the world of the ordeal that I suffered at the hands of Barrow. One or two vampires always tend to turn up to these things to try and get me. But this time around, I've rigged the room up with UV lights. And then she like winks at the camera and then the UV lights flash on and they terribly CGI like kill a couple of vampires in the crowd. But then from that point on, like this group come and get her, like full on Blade Trinity kind of thing. So there's like a Trinity-esque thing going on in Los Angeles, and there's like this queen vampire woman called I can't even remember her name, it's dreadful. And then they have like this Buffy-esque thing where they go back to this house, and then there's this vampire. He's a vampire and he's trying to help like her and like this other group, and she's real standoffish with this vampire, similar to like Alien 3, where Sigourney Weaver's like standoffish with Lance Hendrickson, and he's like
you're making
like stuff. Oh, dude, it's real bad. It's real bad. Don't watch it.
You're making me angry.
No, like, honestly, it is like a fucking black cloud over what this original movie was, and I don't know how they managed to get away with it. So please don't ever watch it. If you love 30 Days of Night and think you're in for something special with a continuation, with a sequel, you are not going to get it, guys. I promise you that now.
Yeah, don't go and watch it. However, I am going to poll it. I'm going to keep my score at a 4.5 out of 5 because I think this movie's awesome. Are you keeping your score as is?
My score is staying exactly as it is. Yeah, it's a very, very strong movie. And if you haven't seen 30 Days a Night and you are still listening to this episode, I strongly recommend you turn us off right now and go and watch it. In fact, no, I will wait till the end till we've done our other bits and then go and watch it.
Yeah, exactly that. This is the part of the show where we normally share our voicemails, but we haven't got any this week, which is a little bit strange. Regular callers, are you okay? Call in, let us know you're still alive and you're still ticking. If you've never called before, it's really, really easy. Instagram or X, go to where you send a DM. It's an audio DM. Just push and hold the microphone. Say what you want to say. We'll play that on the air. If you're not on either of those platforms, but you're on TikTok, you can record it. Do you want to make any more noise moving your mic?
I do apologize. I moved the mic and I didn't realize it was that close to the laptop that I just nearly knocked it flying off the side.
If you're on TikTok, you can record a TikTok, tag us and we'll put that on the episode as well. If you do a TikTok, we'll put your whole video here and everyone will see you and they get to see your account. It's really, really cool. The feature we have on this episode is 3-word reviews. We got a lot, like every single platform showed up this week. Slasher, like I said earlier, we're really getting some friends on Slasher now. It's nice. Savannah Harrow went with Grim Vampire Survival. Creeps McDamned went with Vicious, Brutal, Terrifying. And Mov 3-Man, Movie Man, went with Greatest Alaskan Movie. And I messaged back going, I think this is the only Alaskan movie I've ever seen. So, yes, it's definitely the best.
Right. There is a childhood movie set in Alaska that's not coming to my brain right now. But as soon as it does, and I realize what it is, I'm going to be like, that movie's better.
Right.
I just can't think for the life of me what it is.
Over on Threads, Bad Candy Films went with Great Vampire Flick. I'm Not Sam Bridges went with Brutal, Grotesque Viewing. Instagram are fully faithful, an abundance of ones we get from there. Let's Talk Horror, Over Top Street Shot, brilliant, spoke about that earlier. This Girl Loves Horror, Vampires, Snow, Epic. Jamie Louis Can't Lose, Best Hartnett Performance, 100%, we're all agreeing. Movies for Days, Newman, he's agreeing with you. CG Face Failure. And finally, Gorehound Reviews went with Actually Scary Vampires.
Yes.
And I think that's something vampire movies have lost. Like, vampires have always been portrayed as really, really glamorous. And I think when they go the other way and they make the vampires really fucking scary, it's so much better.
Yeah, agreed. I don't like this Buffy-esque shift with vampires where they can be human and then be vampires. Like, I like to see them just as vampires, you know?
Yeah, Vampire Diaries is a prime example of how a vampire should not be. However, we're watching a series now. We quite often mention my series. The series we're watching now is my pick, and I will hear no bad word said about it. We are rewatching True Blood. Man, that is a vampire show and a half, and it's
why do you want to watch a proper vampire TV series? Go watch The Strain.
I've said it loads of times, but True Blood, it's full of gore, it's full of sex, it's full of violence. It's great. It's a great show.
Yeah, but anything is good in comparison after coming off the back of what Vampire Diaries.
Honestly, I nearly just went, let's just go and raw dog Buffy the Vampire Slayer again, because that's a step up. We're going to play a game today. We've never played it before. Mark has probably never heard of it before, which will make this interesting in itself. It's called the number 10 game. So we're going to take turns counting to 10. So I will say 1, you'll say 2, and so on until we get to 10. The first time we do it, we're literally going to count to 10. After we've counted to 10, I'm then going to change one of the numbers to something else. So I might say, right, from now on, number 5 is, oh, I love golf. And then we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4. And then when we get to 5, whoever's on 5 is going to say, oh, I love golf. And then when we get to the end, number 10 again, then you will change another number. So say you'll change number 2 to Michael Myers. So it'll be 1, Michael Myers, 2, 3, 4. Oh, I love golf. And the idea is
not going to work. This is not going to work.
The idea is to change all 10. So if we can change all 10 from a number to something else and get all the way through and remember everything without making a mistake, we win. If we make a mistake, we lose.
Dude, if we even make it to 3, I will be amazed.
Okay, well, let's start. So first off, we're just literally counting to 10. So 1,
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10.
Okay, so now number 1 is going to be Barbie Girl.
Am I going first now?
You're going to go first.
Barbie Girl.
2,
3,
4,
5,
6,
7,
8,
9,
10. Okay, so you choose one now. You choose a number and change it to something else.
Number 4 is We Love Rob Zombie.
Okay. Barbie Girl.
2,
3,
We Love Rob Zombie.
5,
6,
7,
8,
9.
10.
Okay. Number 7 is No Vampire Daddy.
Barbie Girl.
2,
3,
We Love Rob Zombie.
5.
6.
No, Daddy. Is that what you said?
We're shit at that game.
What did you say? I thought that's what you said.
No Vampire Daddy.
Oh, it was close enough to give it a pass, man. We could have gone.
Well, we will come back and I no doubt we will play that game again. But now it's time for my favorite time of the show and yours and Mark's. It is time for the VHS hunt.
He's the king of the spool, the lord of the stack. If it's on magnetic tape, there's no turning back. From the floor to the ceiling, he's a mastermind hoarder, keeping analog alive on the edge of the border. Rewind, the night under the static flip. It's Mark, VHS from the crypt.
This is a segment on the show that I would love a little bit more feedback from other people, and I would like call-ins from people, because more often than not, I'll get to a movie that we're covering that I don't own, and I'll come up with suggestions of things that I think, oh, well, this movie relates to this because of this, this, and this. This week, I really struggled with 30 Days of Night to find a movie that I think is very similar from the VHS era that I owned, where I could be like, yeah, if you like 30 Days of Night, you're going to love this movie.
You're going to love Salem's Lot.
Maybe, but no, because I don't think you could compare the two. I know you can in story beats, but in terms of movie, they're not the same. And 30 Days of Night was one that I really, really struggled with. Like, I really found it hard. And I had a lot of movies, and I was going to bring in a couple of movies, and I was going to do like 28 Days Later with Detox, the Sylvester Stallone slasher movie set in the Arctic. I thought those two would work really cool, and I could do that. But I didn't. I chose for the easy option this week, and I went with a movie that we've already covered on the show, so I'm not going to get the opportunity to showcase it on that episode because it's been and gone. And I went with something that I've already mentioned on the show already, which is my number 1 vampire movie of all time, followed closely second by 30 Days of Night, and that is The Lost Boys. If ever you wanted to watch a proper vampire movie that was better than 30 Days of Night, which I think is a feat, Lost Boys is a movie to go for. This is my original rental release from the year of 1987. Fantastic movie. Best vampire movie ever made, without question. And I will not take anybody tell me other. This is fantastic of a movie.
I agree. Also, that's a really cool cover. That's not the cover that come out on the later DVD releases, which was all of the cast down the side.
No, the weird thing about this as well is like, he's got like this weird blonde streak. I can't really get that very well. Oh yeah, you can just see it then. It looks like a tea stain, but it's not. It's part of the cover art. The back's really cool as well. I love the back cover art.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. It's a really, really cool movie. This Warner release is one of my prized possessions in my collection. I paid good money to get this. Not that it's an expensive tape per se, but to get it in pristine condition, which this is, I did pay good money to have this, and the playback on it's fantastic, to the point where I still think this looks better than most streaming services when watched on a VHS player. But back to the earlier segment that I was talking about, I would love some feedback. So when I do movie recommendations in this segment, if you could think of a movie that would be better justified for my intertwining logic of why I've showcased it for the episode we're covering, let me know what you would pick. Let me know what would be your recommended VHS for this particular segment. Call in, drop Scott a message, drop me a message, and I'll come full circle with it on the following episode and let you. I'll shout out some of you guys have given me your thoughts and your recommendations of what movies you would have picked. And I think the reason why I'm asking that is because like I say, I struggled so much this week giving a movie that was post VHS era that I couldn't possibly think of anything within the entirety of my I had a slight tally up the other week, and I'm in 600 plus now.
Yeah.
Horror, pure horror X rental VHS tape, 600 plus. Which I'm slowly adding to an app called CLZ, which is a collector's movie app, and you can scan the back of the barcode of it would work really well for you, dude, because you're a DVD collector, and they're all I'm having to manually input quite a lot of the VHS tapes that I own, which is fine. I've got the time and I'm enjoying doing so, but I think it took me a week just to put one shelf in. And I've got like 8 shelves there and 9 shelves over here of VHS tapes to fill through. But I'm enjoying it. It's not something I want to get done and just plow through in a week. It's just one of those things that's, if I've got a spare 5 minutes, because you can add your own cover art. So you can take a photo of the front of the cover, take a photo of the back of the cover, and then you can add your own cover art to the movie that you've logged. So I'm really enjoying the process of adding to that app. But yeah, I digress. If you've got versions of movies that you think would really sit well with the episode that we're covering, that you think, why didn't he pick that? Let me know. Let Scott know. Call in and let us know, and we'll discuss it.
Yeah, and if you want to let Mark know, you could do that by going and following him on Instagram at VHS from the Crypt. Literally go there and go, Mark, that movie pick was terrible. You should have picked this. Or go, actually, that was great. I really like that. And yeah, this show's all about interaction. So we want you involved as much as we can. And the fact that Mark has now taken a segment that was his and given it to you, that's just amazing. Like,
I'm clever like that. I've also noticed that this segment works very well because about 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks ago, I recommended a movie called Slasher, which I can now see sat prime shelf behind you.
I've done a video for Patreon. I found a selection of such rare DVDs, Slasher being one of them. Also, I found a copy of Dead Girl, and I found
I'd love to own a copy of that. That movie's horrific by every stretch imaginable, but to own a physical version of it would be cool.
Yeah, I picked up like a bundle for like, I think it was like 10 quid. And there was like 40 DVDs. Half of them I've never heard of. The other half of them, I'm like, what's this? Stick it into eBay. Jesus Christ. Okay, then. Like I quadrupled, if not more, what I paid for it on just 3 DVDs that were in there. Excellent. Yeah. Stunning find.
But again, that's a good thing about this CLZ app that I was telling you. You can put into that what you paid for it. So you can monitor your either whether you've lost money or made money on your purchases as years go by. You know, you can like, oh shit, I only paid 3 quid for that. That's now going for like 45 quid on eBay, you know. So it's cool in that sense. If you're a nerd like me and just love, I remember back in the day, like I was really into like iTunes on iPods, and I would spend weeks of my life just literally just fucking about making sure I had all the correct cover art for all my Blink 182 and Sum 41 songs on my iPod, you know. So for me, that's like it's a callback to doing shit like that again, and I'm really enjoying the process.
Yeah, that's really cool. That unfortunately is it for this week. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review wherever you can. It really helps us grow and it really helps us reach new listeners. Also, next week we're going to be back with a movie that it's more action adventure. It barely scrapes horror movie status, but there is nobody on next week's episode who is going to complain this movie gets a full-on pass. We're going to be joined by Jim from Jim's Retro Emporium, so undoubtedly we will be cancelled the following week because Jim will upset someone. We are covering Mortal Kombat from 1995. How excited are you?
I cannot contain my excitement.
You're doing a very good job of doing exactly that.
We're going to have a very similar conversation though regarding the sequels. As I said earlier, 2 weeks in a row now, I've watched a movie for the show and immediately gone into the sequel.
I will not hear a bad word said about Mortal Kombat Annihilation and Sindel and her awesome wig.
Me and Jim are going to rip fucking Annihilation a new arsehole when we get the opportunity on that episode.
Okay, well, that'll be next week, so make sure you tune in for that. Have a fantastic week. Be good, work hard, do whatever it is you do, and we will see you all next Tuesday.
Get over here.
Hold on. I can help you because I'm ready for next week's episode. Where is it?
Get over here.
You want to die tonight?
You're on podcast. You're on podcast. Late at night, I tune into your show where you talk horror with a unique flow. Your voice is like sirens, draws me in as you pick apart movies on murder and sin. Scott and Mark set the scene. I hang on every word, lost in the screen. Your passion for fear is contagious enough. You make me believe in Mark's fucking long round ups. Round up, round up, round up, round up, round up. You run podcasts, horror movie reviews, sharing facts and playing games too. Your words paint pictures of darkness and dread, leaving me grinning long after you fled. You run podcasts.
Fuck this shit, I'm out.